Hello hockey fans and welcome back to another video. If you were to write down the names of every NHL player who has scored at least 10 goals this season, you would be forgiven for leaving Colin Blackwell off your list. After all, Blackwell was a 7th round draft pick back in 2011 who had played just 33 NHL games before the current season began, yet he has seemingly appeared out of nowhere, earned a full-time position on the New York Rangers roster, and has produced a career year for himself during the current 2021 NHL season. Sure, he may not win the Rocket Richard anytime soon, but Blackwell's tireless work ethic and his versatile skill set have been more than enough to compete with the best players in the world, as he is holding his own on a Rangers roster that's stacked with a plethora of talented forwards. He's even spent large parts of the season playing alongside recent Hart Trophy candidate Artemi Panarin. You don't get that kind of opportunity if you're a bad hockey player now, do you? Of course, playing with the Breadman is bound to help any player increase their scoring numbers by quite a notable margin, but Blackwell's transformation from bottom 6 grinder to legitimate top 6 scorer has surprised even the most optimistic of Rangers fans, with many supporters hoping that he sticks around well beyond his current 2-year deal. But how has he done it? How has Blackwell gone from bottom 6 AHLer to top 6 NHLer in just the last 5 years, and earned his first real shot in the bigs at 28 years old? Well, thanks to a decade of hard work, perseverance, and triumph over adversity, it hasn't always been easy, but the forward has defied the odds and earned his place amongst the best of the best. This is the emergence of Colin Blackwell. Before we begin, this video is brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network and their partnership with DraftKings. Have you ever wanted to give yourself better odds on winning a bet? Well, ladies and gentlemen, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you the chance to do exactly that. Whether it's the NHL, the NBA, the UFC, or any other major sport, DraftKings is the world's leading sportsbook, complete with sign-up bonuses and weekly deals, and you can get in on the action by using the code THPN. For non-betting regions, DraftKings also offers new players a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their daily fantasy app. I've personally been using DraftKings for several years now, and I love the showdown contests they host, where you pick a single game, you choose a player at each position, and you watch as your group rack up fantasy points for goals, shots, saves, and blocks. There's no better way to put your hockey knowledge to the test, and you can do so with DraftKings' safe, secure, reliable platform, which helps you deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code THPN to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code THPN for your chance to win millions of dollars in total prizes. Minimum $5 deposit, eligibility restrictions apply. But anyway, back to the video. Now, in order to understand the journey he has been on and how his career has reached this point, let's go back to the very beginning. The 194th overall pick of the 2011 NHL draft by the San Jose Sharks, Colin Blackwell was selected with one of the final choices at the event, thanks to scoring 66 points in just 25 regular season games with the USHS's St. John's Prep during the prior 10-11 season. Once he had been drafted by an NHL organisation, Blackwell decided that instead of joining the major junior circuit or turning pro straight out of the gate, he would go to college, as he joined the NCAA's Harvard University for the upcoming 11-12 season. Having chosen to refine his game against his peers and get an education in the process, Blackwell's first 2 seasons in Harvard were pretty productive, but nothing special on the surface. With 19 points in 34 games during his freshman year, and with 14 points in 21 games as a sophomore, the American forward had produced decent scoring numbers, but they were nothing to write home about, both compared to his contemporaries across the league, as well as his own teammates. However, Blackwell's tenure with the Crimsons was about to face a huge setback, as midway through his sophomore year, Blackwell suffered 2 major concussions in just a 4-month span. Though he would be able to return to the lineup after his first injury, the second concussion would prove costly, as Blackwell not only missed the rest of the 12-13 season because of it, he would end up sitting out the entirety of the 13-14 season too. So roughly halfway through his collegiate career, serious questions were being raised as to whether Blackwell would be able to play hockey competitively moving forwards, let alone if he would be able to return to his old self again and continue his development with the team. Despite missing his entire junior year with concussion symptoms and withdrawing from Harvard in the spring so he could focus on his recovery, Blackwell finally began to feel better during the 2014 offseason, was cleared for contact by the summer, and returned to Harvard's lineup for the 14-15 season. Unfortunately though, the 21-year-old would encounter yet another roadblock, as he suffered a third concussion midway through the season, which sidelined him for roughly 2 months of his senior year. He just couldn't catch a break from the injury bug, could he, folks? Thankfully, Blackwell was able to make a full recovery and return to the lineup for the final few games of the regular season, where he finished the year having scored 6 points in 11 games, and helped Harvard punch their ticket to the ECAC playoffs. Though he would have been excused if his production during the postseason wasn't up to scratch, especially given his recent injury troubles, Blackwell was eager to become a go-to guy for his team. In fact, the forward's 5 goals in 7 playoff games would be the catalyst that Harvard needed to go all the way, as the Crimson defeated Clarkson University in the final to clinch their first ECAC championship in 9 years. Having finally gotten fully healthy again for the first time in 3 seasons, and with Harvard unable to make it past the first round of the NCAA tournament, Blackwell felt that he still had some unfinished business with the team. Though he was only eligible to play 1 more semester of collegiate hockey, Blackwell was granted a second semester by the university's compliance office, and was able to rejoin the roster for the entirety of the 15-16 season. From there, Blackwell would not only stay healthy for the whole year, for the first time since his freshman season, he would produce his best year yet, as he finished the year having scored 19 points in 28 games. Oh, and he also earned the league's Unsung Hero award thanks to his rebound performance after several injury-riddled years. So Harvard may not have won any silverware that year, but Blackwell sure did. Once his 5th collegiate season had come to an end, and after scoring 58 points in 94 NCAA games during that span, Blackwell decided that instead of putting his newly acquired degree in government and physiology to good use, he wanted to pursue his dream of playing hockey professionally. Having finished his time at Harvard on a high note, despite numerous setbacks along the way, the American forward would get his wish, as he signed a 1-year contract with the AHL San Jose Barracuda for the 16-17 season. Though some might have expected him to reach his peak in the minor leagues given his overall performance in college, thanks to his hard work and determination over the coming years, the forward would prove all of his doubters wrong. The next 2 years of Blackwell's career would see the forward ply his trade in the minors and begin to show the hockey world what a healthy Blackwell was really made of. After spending the 16-17 season with the Barracuda, where he scored 11 points in 57 games as a checking line forward, the former 7th round pick would sign a 1-year deal with the Rochester Americans after attending the Buffalo Sabres rookie camp and impressing their minor league affiliate during a tryout deal shortly after. From there, the 24-year-old would spend the entire 17-18 season with the team, where he wasted little time putting his offensive skills on display, as he ended up scoring an impressive 45 points in 61 AHL games. Having finished the season as the highest scoring forward on the Amerks roster, Blackwell had finally caught the attention of the NHL, as on July 3rd, 2018, he signed a 2-year, 2-way contract with the Nashville Predators. So after being taken as one of the final players in his draft class over 7 years ago, and thanks to his hard work and perseverance ever since, Blackwell had finally earned his first contract with an NHL organisation. Though he would end up spending much of this deal in the minors, by the end of this contract, Blackwell would find his way into the best league in the world. The 18-19 season would see Blackwell suit up with the Predators during their pre-season training camp, where he looked to impress the team's coaching staff and earn a spot on their opening night roster. Though he would put up a valiant effort, it just wasn't meant to be, as the forward was reassigned to Nashville's AHL affiliate, the Milwaukee Admirals, to start the season. From there, the 25-year-old would spend the majority of the year down in the minors, and though he would end up missing 27 games due to injuries, he would make an immediate impact for the team when he was in the lineup, as he scored 7 goals in his first 14 games of the year. This production was more than enough for Nashville to give Blackwell the greatest news of his career. The forward had been called up to the Predators roster on January 19th, 2019, and he would make his NHL debut later that day. So in just his 3rd pro season, Colin Blackwell had worked his way up from the bottom of the minor league depth chart, defied the overwhelming odds against him, and earned a shot to play in the National Hockey League. Sometimes dreams really do come true, eh folks? Though he would finally make his NHL debut just a few months before his 26th birthday, Blackwell's opening tenure in the Bigs would be pretty brief, as he took to the ice in just 6 games with Nashville, went scoreless in that span, and registered 2 penalty minutes for his efforts, before being sent back down to Milwaukee for the rest of the year. Despite returning to the minors once again, Blackwell would continue to put up decent numbers for the Admirals as he finished the season with 14 goals and 26 points in 43 AHL games. Not a bad year considering he missed a large chunk of the season due to injuries, right guys? The 2nd year of Blackwell's contract would see the forward split his time between Nashville and Milwaukee once again, but on a much more even basis than the previous season. After scoring 23 points in 26 AHL games, Blackwell would earn another call-up to the Predators roster in mid-December 2019, but this time he would stick around for good. After registering his first NHL point on December 23rd, and after scoring his first NHL goal on January 9th, 2020, Blackwell would finish his first real stint in the Bigs, having scored 3 goals and 10 points in 27 games. Although he likely could have scored even more, if not for the global pandemic shutting down the season prematurely. God, talk about a killjoy. Once his 2-year contract had concluded, and having recently proven himself as a legitimate bottom 6 player at the NHL level, Blackwell would earn another contract in the league, but with a different team instead, as on October 9th, 2020, he signed a 2-year, $1.5 million contract with the New York Rangers. So after working his way onto an NHL roster over the last 2 years, Blackwell would find himself under the bright lights of Broadway for the foreseeable future. Though he would earn just $725,000 in each of the next 2 years, and though he was expected to remain as a depth player for his new team, thanks to his play over the coming year, the forward would surpass all expectations and then some. As the 2021 NHL season eventually got underway, Blackwell finally joined New York and looked to make a strong first impression for his new team. Despite holding just 33 games of NHL experience at the time, the 28-year-old made himself known straight out of the gate, as he forced his way off the taxi squad and onto the Rangers roster in late January, and has suited up with the team ever since. From there, the American forward would waste little time making an impact both on the ice and on the scoreboard too, as he potted his first goal as a Ranger during his debut game with the team on January 24th, 2021, and registered 5 points in his first 7 games of the year. Though he would cool off over the next few weeks, as he went scoreless in 8 of his first 16 games of the season, the former 7th round pick continued to put up decent numbers for his new side, as he registered 10 points in his first 20 games. If tying his previous season's output in 7 less games played wasn't impressive enough though, the last few weeks of the season have seen Blackwell take his game to a place that it's never been before. Thanks to a 2-goal game on his 28th birthday against the Washington Capitals, a 3-point night against the New Jersey Devils, and with him scoring 6 goals in 7 games between March 28th and April 9th, the American forward looks like a completely different player than his Nashville days, and he has clearly made the most of his opportunity while in New York. Now, as things stand right now at the time of this recording, Colin Blackwell has scored an impressive 22 points in 41 games so far this season. Not only is this total 12 more points in just 14 more games compared to his last stint in Nashville, Blackwell's 12 goals is 4 times his previous amount with the Predators and currently puts him 6th place on the Rangers roster in that category. For context, Blackwell has scored 12 goals in a season just 3 times during his career since joining Harvard back in 2011, and he has scored more goals this year than Rangers youngsters Philip Heatle, Capo Caco, and recent first overall draft pick Alexei Lafreniere. Of course, each of these players are still in their late teens or early 20s, and they've all had their fair share of struggles this year, but considering Blackwell has forced his way onto the roster, earned top 6 minutes on numerous occasions, usually over these younger guys, and he has made such a strong impact for his team, he's had a pretty good season all things considered. So how has he managed to produce this career year? Though he is far from being the fastest skater, the best shooter, or the hardest hitter, what Blackwell lacks in raw talent, he most certainly makes up for in effort and versatility. Whether it's playing a hard-nosed physical game on the 4th line, generating scoring chances on the 2nd line, or anything in between, Blackwell's jack-of-all-trades playing style has meant that he can adapt his skill set to fit wherever the team needs him in the lineup, and he can move up or down the roster on the fly. A prime example of this is when he has started a game on the Rangers' 2nd line alongside Ryan Strome and Artemi Panarin, but as play progresses and his talents are required in a different role, he is moved down to the 4th line where he is replaced in the top 6 by Rangers rookie Vitaly Kravtsov. Interestingly, many fans have been comparing Blackwell's play to former New York Ranger Jesper Fast, who was also known for being a bit of a Swiss army knife, and who many fans felt needed to be replaced after Fast signed with the Carolina Hurricanes. Thankfully, Blackwell has not only filled this gap in the roster since he got his first chance with the team, he is doing so at a fraction of the cost, and he has more offense to his game than Fast ever did in New York. Now, I think we can all agree that scoring 22 points in 41 games isn't exactly record-breaking, and this production would be a pretty modest season for most NHL players. But when you consider how tough of a journey Blackwell has endured in order to get to this point, he is more than deserving of his moment in the spotlight. Not only was he forced to work harder, play better, and prove that he belonged as a 7th round draft pick, Blackwell had to fight back from 3 major concussions in a 2-year span, grind his way up from the bottom of the minor leagues, and stand apart from his contemporaries as one of the highest scorers on his team just to get a look in at the NHL level. Given the numerous setbacks he has faced and how heavily the odds have been stacked against him, Colin Blackwell shouldn't have made it to the NHL. But thanks to his tireless work ethic, his perseverance through adversity, and his refusal to give up on his dream, he has. Couple that with his strong scoring numbers so far this year, and you can't help but root for the guy, whether you're a Rangers fan or not. With the New York Rangers desperately fighting for a playoff spot during the final weeks of the regular season, Blackwell's performance over the coming days could determine whether New York finally returns to the postseason, or whether they narrowly miss their mark and head to the golf course early once again. Though Rangers fans will be happy to have him on board for another season, Blackwell's breakout performance this year may have played him out of New York for the upcoming season. Thanks to the Seattle Kraken expansion draft this coming offseason, and with many of New York's players being protected from selection either due to clauses in their contracts or them being younger players, the Rangers will likely have to leave Blackwell exposed in that draft, where the Kraken could pick him up and utilise his versatility on their roster during their debut season in the league. Whether he remains on Broadway next year remains to be seen, of course, but regardless of where he ends up, here's hoping that Blackwell continues to reach new heights and finds a home in the league for many years to come. After all, his road to the NHL may have been a hard one, but boy has it been a path worth taking, folks. And that was a look at the emergence of Colin Blackwell. What do you guys think about Blackwell's breakout season in New York? Do you think he will continue to find success with the Rangers, or do you think he will end up in Seattle next season? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Carl Fairbank, Connor B, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Jordan Whitehead, Saturn Otaku, Tom from Finland, Twin Sanity Dad and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.